In our previous video, we saw how to enter data for what we would probably call a typical residential property, such as an apartment building. Now let's continue our discussion and see how to work with revenue from commercial property. Click on the Next tab at the bottom of the workbook to use the Commercial Income Worksheet for entry of income for all types of commercial property. This worksheet covers the variety of inputs that are needed to address the greater complexity of commercial leases. Start by entering the total rentable square footage in cell C3. Each tenant or building unit is represented by a section of about 24 rows. We call these sections lease blocks. You can add as many lease blocks as you need simply by clicking the Add New Unit or New Unit Wizard buttons in the upper left corner of the sheet. Add New Unit provides you with a blank block as a starting point, one where you can manually enter all the necessary data, while the New Unit Wizard option presents you a series of questions which will pre-fill many of the data entry fields for you. I'd like you to note that this row, expense recoveries, sometimes also called expense reimbursements, are values that the program calculates for you. Before you can pass expenses through, of course, you need to know and to specify what those expenses are. So you'll need to enter your expenses on the Annual Property Operating Data Worksheet. And then indicate which of those expenses is going to be passed through to the commercial tenants. Once you've made those entries, then the pass-through expense amount will display on this worksheet. We'll see more about the annual property operating data in another video. By default, each tenant pays a pro rata share of the expenses based on their percentage of the unit square footage compared to the total rentable square footage, as you entered in cell C3. You see the tenant's percentage of the total displayed here, 42%, because they have 4,200 feet out of a total of 10,000 square feet. But notice also that it's a purple cell. That means you can overwrite this amount if you need to. If you've struck a deal where the tenant reimburses you based on some percentage other than their actual share of total square feet, well then you can override this calculated percentage and enter something different. Let's continue now and add a unit, and we'll do that using the New Unit Wizard. First, add a tenant name. And a rental rate that applies to the beginning of the lease. Enter the number of rentable square feet. Enter the month and year that the tenant moves in. This might be the same as the beginning month and year of the analysis that you entered on the general worksheet, or it might be later. It's possible that the space is vacant now when you buy the building, and you don't expect to lease the property for several months. Next, enter a figure for tenant improvements. If you enter an amount less than 500, then the program assumes this is dollars per square foot. If you enter something greater than 500, the program will treat it as a total dollar amount. Next, indicate how you believe the rent will be increasing year to year. Use the first pull-down to specify the rent increase interval. Then use the next field and pull-down to specify what the increase will be. You can choose a percentage increase, a dollar amount per square foot, either yearly or monthly, or simply a dollar amount of rent per month. Click Submit, and a new lease block is created. You can now enter other parameters, such as other rental revenue or commissions. For commissions, be sure to enter not only the amount paid to the broker, but also the month in which you pay, as well as the number of months to amortize the commission. Frequently, the number of months will be the length of the lease. You can continue the process of adding tenants by repeating these steps. You can also delete units using this button. But be careful. When deleting, there is no undoing the removal of data. Note that there are some other button options, such as Rollover Wizard. It assists you with tenant changes, rollover vacancy, and so on. We'll cover that feature in the next video. So, please join me for that.